Welcome to Ask Brian. I'm Brian Rigby, expert answers for your nutrition questions. Today, I have a question about polyunsaturated fat and thyroid function. Tara writes in, I just read that unsaturated fats are depressive of thyroid function, so if you've gained weight due to thyroid issues, you want to avoid foods high in these fats. Now I am thoroughly confused. I was actually really excited to get this question because it's such a great example of how nutrition advice on the internet can get things so wrong. One thing immediately stood out to me on these articles, and that was that they really did not reference very many scientific studies on the thyroid function polyunsaturated fat. There's only a handful of them, less than 5, and most of them are over 20 years old at this point. We have much newer research to go off of. Why would you reference studies that are over 20 years old? Imagine if your doctor gave you treatment based on studies that were only 20 years old. He wouldn't be a very good doctor. Same thing goes for nutrition. We're constantly learning more, we are constantly expanding our knowledge, and it's always, always, always best to use the most up-to-date references whenever possible. The other thing that stood out to me is that the references that were used were interpreted kind of strangely. So it's true that high-fat diets, especially diets high in polyunsaturated fats, causes the body to release less thyroid hormone, the active version, T3. But what they failed to mention in these articles was that these same studies also showed that the body became more sensitive to thyroid hormone. So think about insulin. When your body becomes insulin resistant, it takes more insulin to do the same job. But once your body becomes insulin sensitive again, then it requires less insulin to do that same job. It wouldn't really be fair to say that just because your insulin level drops, that suddenly you are going to be doing that job more or less effectively. We can't really tell without taking into account both the amount of insulin you're secreting and how sensitive you are to it. The same is true of thyroid hormone. Yes, thyroid hormone decreases with a high polyunsaturated fat diet, but sensitivity increases. What does this mean for our thyroid and for our metabolism? Well, it's not really clear. It's very well possible that you actually have a higher metabolism because your body is so much more sensitive to the thyroid hormone. But, like I said, these studies didn't actually study that. They just studied the effects on the absolute levels and the absolute sensitivity. It did not stretch those results. It did not stretch their interpretation of this to the actual effects on metabolism. We know from new research that many polyunsaturated fats are actually protective and beneficial for the thyroid for the same sensitivity reason. Omega-3 polyunsaturated fats, these are the ones found in fish oil and flaxseed and chia seed, we know that they make the liver more sensitive to thyroid hormone. And we know that, in general, these fats are beneficial for weight loss and beneficial for the metabolism. If a diet that was high in polyunsaturated fat truly were bad for the thyroid, we would not expect to see specific polyunsaturated fats having a beneficial effect for it. So please don't avoid these polyunsaturated fats. In fact, I would recommend highly to increase the amounts of them in your diet, in particular the omega-3s, because this is going to be a great way to potentially boost sensitivity to thyroid hormone and also potentially to increase your metabolism and help yourself lose some weight. Do you have experience with a diet high in polyunsaturated fats and weight loss? If so, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Subscribe to Ask Brian and get more nutrition every week. Have a nutrition question for me? Go to Peer Trainer University.